And we are live here on Hot Tag Takes on HamiltonRadio.net channel HR2. I am your host, John BRECKO. With me, as always, in the booth is Ruben Rodriguez. How you doing, man? It's okay if you need a second. I know you're never prepared. I'll drum roll for you if you need me to.
Here I am.
What's up, brother? How are you?
Feeling good, man. Just hoping that and praying that this will be a good year.
Yeah, I mean, it must already be good. You just found out you met Bad Bunny. You didn't realize it back in 2024.
Yeah, like I was telling you and Adam, I didn't know who he was. Be honest with you, the only person I knew on the set was Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
Even though I worked with a couple of the celebrities.
Right.
Believe it or not, I still don't even know who this blonde chick was that's in the film, but she's one of the major, stars in the film.
Wasn't she from the first film?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know who she was.
She was in Modern Family, though, right? Isn't that the same?
I think so. Yeah.
You think so? Yeah, she was face on the ground. So I said to her, I said, I hope that ground tastes good.
Oh, that's cute. That's beautiful. You just know how to pick them up, don't you?
Oh yeah. No, she laughed. She was like, "Don't make me laugh."
He's trying to pick people up over here. Half the time he needs a ride home. That don't make no damn sense.
I know, right?
2024 was a shitty year for Ruben because he didn't know he met Bad Bunny. 2025 is a good year because he found out he met Bad Bunny.
Oh. Well, there's more to the shitty year, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there is, but it's that way for all of us.
All of us, yeah. Well, it's, we didn't know that, after COVID, we was going to go into a recession. Everybody was hoping that after COVID,
everybody was hoping.
Yeah, we will, everything would go up. We didn't expect to go down even further than we were.
Right.
And me included, like I was telling you guys earlier. I was looking for extra work.
Yeah.
That's how
I've been there.
Yeah. I never thought you could be disqualified for getting a low minimum wage job and not get hired.
Isn't that what they call overqualified?
I think so.
Some crazy shit like that.
I was like, so I said, no lie.
You expect people to stay at a minimum wage job?
I didn't. I just wanted to be there for like 6 months to a
Yeah,
year.
you just needed extra cash.
That's all I did. It was extra cash.
That's all.
So I said, you know what? I said, if I have to apply, I'm not going to even include my resume. I'm going to go in there as a dumb bastard.
Right.
I'm just going to be stupid. I'm just going to say, I have no experience. I've done nothing.
Good man.
Well, it's like when you go pick up a girl at a bar. You don't want to be too good for her. You don't want her to say you're too qualified to be dated.
Yeah.
You never want that to happen.
Exactly.
Right. You want to make her feel like she's the catch. You know what I mean?
Oh,
no, I agree with that 100%. So I am very excited for this guest. This is a good thing about 2025. Even though you kind of had to hand this mic over to his face like you were kind of feeding him veggies a little bit. He's like over here like with the mic open up for the airplane. But I'd actually like to start this off by reading something from one of the websites in one of your coffee shops. So, Life without coffee is a scary place. That's why we've been proudly serving up fresh coffee to the Jamesburg area since 2022. Globally sourced with the most delicious blends from around the world directly to your hand, our coffee makes even the most difficult days just a tad easier to get through. For us, this isn't just about brewing coffee. This is an active life mission to bring our customers and community the most flavorful, full-bodied beverages we could get our hands on. Browse our site to learn more about our locations and sourcing techniques. That's the website from the James Brew Cafe, one of the few businesses our guest today is a part of. This man has been on the show before. We're happy to have him back. He's involved in the coffee shop business, real estate, politics, most of all as a father and a proud New Jersey native. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Adam Elias.
Thank you for that rousing introduction.
I try, man. I'll just dust my shoulders off real quick. I mean, I did just kind of come out of the pool. My hair's still frozen a little bit.
I can smell the chlorine from here.
Yeah, no, I got frosted tips back here. I'm surprised you didn't notice that. But anyways, man, how are you? How's everything been, man?
It's been all right. 2024, like you said, not the best of years. I guess everybody
Right.
kind of has their own perspective. 2024 was the year of the dragon. I was born in the year of the dragon, so
Okay.
I was looking forward to 2024, thinking that that would be my lucky year. I found out in about the 9th month of the year that, just so you know, in case you didn't, the year that coincides with your Chinese zodiac is actually considered the worst year in a 12-year cycle. The Chinese culture see that as a year of challenge and a year of bad luck. So
Okay.
if you are looking forward to the year of your zodiac, be forewarned. It will be a very challenging year.
If you're looking forward to it, just stop. Stop it right now
Yep.
is what he's trying to say.
Or, as they say, wear a lot of red. Apparently, wearing red will repel the bad year.
Does it?
That appears to be the antidote.
I did not know that. I might want to keep that in mind. I
I'm
have
okay.
none of that on me
So wear
right
my
now.
red shirt again. That's good. That's a good one.
I'm the year of the rat. I don't think it's the year of the rat this year. I don't know which one this is.
No, the year of the rat would have been actually in 2020. So,
Oh, that was a bad year for everybody.
yeah.
No wonder why that didn't work out.
out.
Sheesh. So the last time I had you on here, you were running for state assembly. We talked a lot about politics, things you wanted to do for the state of New Jersey. We did talk about your businesses to some extent, but that wasn't really the main purpose of the show. What I was hoping for is if this time you came on, you could share more about your story, how you got interested in businesses or business in the first place. And I want you to start off with maybe some of the recent moves you made. So the first thing that I wanted to bring up, which you actually told me about yourself a few days before the show, is switching up firms at the start of 2024. You're now part of Bolster, Bruder, Elias, LLC, which, quote, specializes in estate planning, tax prep, real estate transactions, and their mission is to aid our community and help others preserve their wealth and well-being. For those who may not fully understand what those things are, I'll give a little bit of a brief explanation on what they are before Adam does. And obviously, correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm off the mark on any of it. So estate planning involves such things as setting up a will, creating trusts you pass down to beneficiaries, setting up funeral arrangements where somebody wants to be buried, cremated, etc., etc. Tax preps involves basically tax returns that you get every year. Real estate transactions, involve the transfer of property from one person, one family, or one party to another. Many cases that's houses, but not always. It could involve business properties or even just plain old land also. So first, let's talk about how you came into Bolster, Bruder, Elias at the start of last year, and after that, talk about why you yourself decided to specialize in estate planning and probate. Of course, if I missed anything trying to explain what they are, feel free to fill in the blanks.
You definitely hit the nail on the head. So I actually went on 2017. I went out on my own to start my own solo practice. My goal was to do probate work. The idea being that everybody's going to die at some point, and
Yeah.
a lot of people do need guidance. People find themselves overwhelmed, at the passing of a loved one, and it's good to have good counsel to kind of guide them through that process.
Yeah.
It is not an easy field to break into as a young attorney, and so when you're starting a practice, you kind of take with the work that comes
That
at
you
you.
get.
And the work that came at me was real estate closings. And I really learned how to scale that, learned how to really build a strong network with loan officers, realtors, and other referral partners, which was a very scalable business right through the pandemic. Even during the pandemic, from day one, we were considered essential employees, essential workers, and we were hitting the turnpike
Nice.
from the day of the state shutdown. But really, probate is something that I always had an interest in and a passion for. I had a partner for about 6 years. We had a practice that we started in 2018 out of Perth Amboy, Elias and Gonzalez. I was a partner in that firm the last time I was here.
Yeah.
Another opportunity presented itself to me that I simply couldn't pass up with Bolster
Yeah.
and Bruder. So Bolster and Bruder have been around for about 36 years. They are based in Monroe Township, really about 2 miles from my house. These guys, that's all they do is estate planning and administration. They've worked with thousands of clients over 3 decades to help them plan for their demise, help their families, make those arrangements and administer their estates. They was fortunate enough to get a phone call from one of the gentlemen who said, look, we're pushing 80 years old. We're looking to transition into retirement. We're looking to have a young lawyer buy our building and help us to kind of transition out. In their basement of the building, they have about 7,000 original vaults and original wills in their vault. the original will is a key component of the estate plan because that is what's taken to a surrogate's office to be probated upon passing. So that's gold. You know, you get a lot of contact with the community, and it was really just a no-brainer for me to take over that practice. They have some tax preparation, tax planning component. I would like to emphasize more of the tax planning. A lot of accountants do engage in tax preparing. You can go to even a tax preparer. You don't need a CPA to prepare your tax return. You don't even need a tax preparer. You need a TurboTax username and password.
Yeah.
But tax planning is a very underappreciated skill that kind of goes hand in hand with planning out one's estate. And then, of course, the real estate background also gets leveraged in. So it's really a one-stop shop for the clients to come in, plan out their legacy, annually revisit their finances, and maybe grow their wealth for themselves and for their children and for their bloodline.
Yeah, no, I love that 100%. I'll tell you this, Ruben, I would take something if it had 70,000 volts as well. I got to share that really quick. No, but I do kind of want to follow up on that a little bit. So just based on that, what do you think is the number one thing that people really need guidance with when they're looking to plan something like that?
Well, I would start with actually preparing for the estate. You know, there 70% of people do not have an estate plan. And yet I believe, and I don't have the hard numbers to back it, but I believe that everyone either has personally or knows someone that personally has administered an estate and has gone through hell trying to do that. So we do a pretty good job of getting insurance for our health. We do a good job getting insurance for our cars. Some people take the extra step to get that life insurance, which I can get into in a moment, but really planning that estate is insurance for your family. It's not, if not for you, it's to make sure that your family does not have to deal with a lot of administrative burden and it can actually grieve your loss and be able to remember you in a much better way than they may if they have to administer an estate and come across a lot of complications.
Because I can actually kind of like attest to this myself because my wife actually had her dad pass away last year.
Sorry.
So, I mean, I remember watching her, you know, kind of go through the funeral process, and you know, it's really tough for anybody to grieve during that. And I even had somebody I was in a relationship with before lost a close loved one. So, I mean, like I've seen people, you can't grieve during that process. It's really, really tough because you're trying to set up funeral homes, you're trying to figure out all the details, and it all just happens really quick. And I think that's part of the process why it's, you know, kind of tough to get over. So,
and some people use that as a coping mechanism. They try to bury their head in the sand, try to bury themselves in the paperwork to distract them when they don't want to grieve, you know?
Yeah, I just feel like, especially, you know, in like a funeral process, that kind of like pushes it down the line, you know?
Yeah.
But, so, Ruben, I just want to let you know you'll get enjoyment out of this. So this is probably one of the last times I'll be able to share my age on the air and not feel old.
Oh, that's right. Happy birthday.
Yeah, no, it's coming
Happy
up.
birthday.
I turned 30 on Thursday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Happy
man.
birthday.
I appreciate it.
Welcome to the AARP club.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's how everybody's going to be looking at me from now on. But I think this is a good time. Let everybody know. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If you didn't want to do it before, do it for my birthday, please. Ruben, we're getting close to 5,600 subscribers, man.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
buddy.
we gotta get that 6,000.
That's what I'm saying. By the end of February. That's
By the
what
end
I
of
wanted.
February, by 6,000.
Yeah.
Or let's try to get it before Valentine's Day.
And then 30,000 by the end of the year 30.
30.
Yeah, I love it. I actually love that.
Yeah,
So-
30,000. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. See, Adam gets it.
Yeah. So I turned 30 this Thursday. I wanted to know, do you believe people around that age should consider estate planning? If so, why do you feel that way? If not, what time in a person's life should they start thinking about it?
You know, I think anyone can sit down and try to write down what they would like to be had done with their personal belongings, how they would like their legacy to be left. It's difficult to say. You know, everyone has a different approach to whether or not they want to broach that subject. I come across a lot of clients who feel like it's taboo to talk about and it's bad luck, but the reality is none of us are making it out of it here alive.
Yeah.
I think at a minimum, I'm about 36, turning 37 in June, and most of my friends, you know, have children. That is a point where I think it's really something that you can't push off any longer, because a lot of people will say to me, oh, I don't really have much in terms of assets, and they think they need to have this huge, you know, Rockefeller estate in order to sit down and do an estate plan. But
Yeah.
I could tell you, and you know, just a free pro tip here, if you do not have a will, the law does speak to who inherits your assets. There is an order that's followed, and it goes. And every state's different. I'm speaking really to New Jersey law, but New Jersey law, common law, says that if you pass away, your assets go into a certain order. If you have a spouse, it goes to your surviving spouse. No spouse but children, or then it goes to your children. No children, no spouse, it goes to your parents. No parents, it goes to your siblings. Then it goes to their children, and so on. So there's actually a whole, several degrees of separation there. But the law does not speak to who gets your children. So if something happens to both you and the spouse or the significant other or the mother or father of your children, something happens to both of you at the same time, leaving your children effectively as orphans. I mean, there's no legal provision for that. That's something that really the grandparents have to go to court to duke it out over. And you're burdening a judge who's already has a very overbooked docket. Most of these judges that are in family court, that's where they start. They don't necessarily want to be there. They want to get out of there as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And they're leaving that judge with a very, very busy docket, very understaffed, with a decision that could have a serious impact on the way your children develop and the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So it's very important, I think, when we have wills with people that have minor children, we set provisions as far as guardianship. Who's going to be the legal guardians of the children? Who's going to be the trustees to manage their assets, to manage their money? Sometimes it's the same person, sometimes it's not. But these are things that need to be put in writing. No one's going to be interested in what was talked about or what they would have wanted to do. It needs to be what's been put on paper in front of witnesses and notarized.
Thank you for actually sharing that. I actually never thought of that. So thank you for putting that out there. 100% appreciate it. So let's talk a little bit about some of the coffee shops you own. You made an announcement about a new coffee shop called Battlegrounds in Englishtown. I saw it on Instagram a little while back. This was announced in October of last year, so I did want to ask about it, if it had opened up, if there's any updates you could give us, any events going on over there like you have at some of the other locations, which we'll get into. Talk to us a little bit about Battlegrounds, why you chose to open it up in Englishtown, and if you can share other spots you might be looking to build, maybe your little NJ coffee empire you got going on over here.
Yeah, no, I mean, so during the pandemic, there was a lot of opportunities for real estate investment that I took advantage of. And that's really what drove the coffee enterprise. I think of it as the McDonald's model, where McDonald's really makes its money off the real estate. That's the heart and soul of the McDonald's value. So as we started with the first one in Jamesburg, the James Brew Cafe that we opened in November 2022. About 11 months later, we opened Hamalatte here in Hamilton.
Yeah.
And now I had a property on Main Street in Englishtown that was a nice, corner property. It was a mixed-use property with a, storefront and a residential unit above it. In the last year, a new mayor has come into Englishtown, and he is very driven to make Englishtown a real downtown like it used to be. I mean, Englishtown, you go through it now, you feel like you're going through a different time. It's been very abandoned over the last few years. Everything's for sale.
For sure.
There used to be big auctions there. There used to be the racetrack. Englishtown used to be the go-to destination.
There used to be stuff going on over there.
So he's really determined to bring that and revive it the same way we've seen Robbinsville get revived and other downtowns, throughout New Jersey. I had an opportunity to sit down with him and really hear his vision for it. And so what caught my attention was that 4 dispensaries were opening in Englishtown over the course of a few months. And if you know Englishtown, it's about half a square mile. It's a very short distance. So the thought of 4 dispensaries going into that town.
That's a lot.
Where towns like where I live in Monroe Township, where they absolutely, whether they're Democrat, Republican, both parties absolutely refuse to have dispensaries in their borders. Some towns just really take a more traditional approach to it. Englishtown's putting up 4 dispensaries. I had to sit down with the mayor.
Four sounds like a lot. Maybe one's fine, especially for like a square mile,
I learned that about in the beginning of 2024 that 4 licenses had approved. And, if you know anything about New Jersey development, things take time. I figured by the time my kids now are going to be 7, 5, and 3 this year, I figured by the time one of them is graduating high school, we'll see that come into fruition.
Yeah.
Would I tell you right now that the 4 dispensaries are already open? They open pretty quickly. And that's what happens when you don't have red tape. When you have a mayor who says, I will say yes to any project that will come into town and bring more business and bring more visitors and more tax dollars to our town, that's what you get. And now there are 4 dispensaries that are open, and our shop just so happens to be conveniently located right smack in the middle of those 4 shops.
What I will say is this. So I've been to Hamalatte before. It's really relaxing. I love going in like the back couch area, and I love being able to kind of sit down there. I'm more of a tea drinker. I'm not a big coffee drinker. But like I like to get one back down there, maybe grab, a wrap, maybe cookie or something like that. And I kind of just like to sit down, plan something out on my phone, take some notes down from something, a lot like I have here. It's really just a good place and a good vibe for that. So I appreciate that. So I will say this: it probably does go well with a little bit with the dispensary vibe. I gotta say that.
Well,
You got pretty good sweets in there too. I gotta say that.
Yeah, people that maybe want to pick up some sweets on their way home while they're picking up something to relax them. Not the worst idea,
Right. Yeah. No, it works out. I don't think you need 4 though.
No, I don't think you need 4, but that's that's what free markets. You're
Right.
gonna have the 4 shops that you can either work together or they can work against each other. But that's capitalism at its best.
Yeah. No, I hear that. So there's a weekly event that I noticed that piqued my interest that I do want to talk about. I think it takes place at James Brew, if I remember correctly. It's a chess club. I believe it's every Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. If anybody watching wants to go. Thankfully, all levels are welcome because I suck at chess. I know how to play. I'm just not very good.
That's what a good chess player would say.
No, but believe me, I'm not bullshitting you. I'm not very good at it. So, just out of curiosity, how did you get that started at James Brew? Do you play yourself? Are you any good at it? I feel like it's an easy game to learn on the surface, right? But once you learn how the pieces move and what they could do, it gets much more complex.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really the initial. I would love to take credit for the idea of putting the chess club in James Brew, but really we got approached by a gentleman who ran a chess club and asked if he could bring some of his players over to our shop. I mean, we don't say no to much. We're always happy to sponsor. We're always happy to team up with community initiatives. When we were approached for that, we thought it was a great idea. And I honestly, you bring it up now, I'm surprised that it's still going as long as it is. It's been amazing to have. And I've seen the shop full from one table to the back, where people are really zoned in playing chess. I've seen little kids play. I've seen, very experienced people play. And again, like you said, there's no discomfort. Anyone can kind of come in and play. It's a very healthy environment.
Yeah.
I've popped in here and there for a game. I'm not a very skilled player, but when I do play, I think I get a win here or there when I'm paying attention and I'm really zoned in. But the beauty of chess is that you're thinking 2-3 steps ahead. And chess can teach you a lot about life. It's a very good life game about, strategizing and not just running through life aimlessly. If you could master chess, you could probably master life.
No, really, 100%. No, because I used to, when I went to school, I went up at St. Peter's, and in the library, they had a chessboard, and there was a guy that I used to play with, all the time whenever I had a free night, when I wasn't hanging out with somebody in the game room writing a paper, I would pretty much go there. And it would be an accomplishment if I could beat this guy. I think maybe in the course of like 4 years, I maybe beat him like 2 or 3 times. And that let me know, like, I wasn't very good at it. Like, because I was always big on, like, taking one piece and then him taking another. And I kind of, that's where I kind of learned to think like 2-3 steps ahead, because you would always look at what's right in front of you, and then you wouldn't see something in the back that's kind of hiding out. You know what I mean?
That's kind of the way life goes too,
No, exactly. I agree with that 100%.
We get consumed with what's right in front of us. We don't really see the bigger picture.
Right. So, also at Hamalatte, I know there's an open mic, and there's people that perform there on Fridays. When a couple of the times I've been there, I've seen it once or twice. I've seen people set up. I know a guy that should absolutely perform on there sometime. His name's Justin Love. I could put you guys in contact if you want. He's solo right now, but he's super talented. He's performed at a lot of places in NJ and PA. I would love to put you guys in contact if that's okay with you. Shout out to Justin Love, by the way. He's actually performed on this show before. Remember when he was on here on one of the Christmas shows, Ruben? Yeah, back in 2019. He was on here with...
That was 2019.
Yeah, 2019, he was on here with a whole bunch of comics, and we all had a fun Christmas show.
I'm actually glad we did that too before COVID hit.
That was when Mark tripped over a step in a Domino's box.
Domino box. He was tripping over pizza.
That was a hell of a thing to watch, man.
Yeah, that was definitely. I'm glad.
I've never seen so much human move so fast, just downward.
I have to tell you though, ever since that, ever since we had that party and everything, it seemed like gatherings have gone down, after that.
I mean,
that's why I'm glad to see, like, places like Adam has like the coffee shop and everything.
Yeah,
that
I
can bring
mean,
people together.
it's been tough because people don't want to go out. I remember there
Yeah.
was a time when the pandemic was going on, like after stuff started opening up, you didn't even want to sit down and eat anywhere. You just wanted to go through a
Yeah.
drive-through.
Well, don't forget too, before that pandemic happened, you had a Christmas party, which we had a lot of people here.
I did.
Danny had a lot of people here for her Christmas
I
party.
didn't have one for a few years after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man.
It's been a
So
minute.
the reason why I want to bring up the open mic and Justin Love, first of all, I did just get to see him at not the NFC Championship game, but at a bar we were both hanging out at. Really good Eagles bar. If you know, you know. It's up in Ewing. So I wanted to bring that up because I know you are a busy guy. Do you ever make time to see some of the performances? If you do, who's your favorite band, DJ, etc. that you brought in to perform?
You know, I gotta be honest with you. It's been some time since I've really had a good evening to myself. And we have the 3 small kids, so
Yeah.
whatever time I can get with them during the weekends, I really try to enjoy that time. I
course.
don't really, and unfortunately, I hate to tell you on the show, but we actually scaled back the late nights in Hamilton because we weren't really getting the reaction and the interest that we were hoping for. While we do have like a regular following in Jamesboro, it just was a little harder to gain traction in Hamilton. And between the staffing and everything, we decided this year to maybe scale it back a little bit till we could,
Alright.
reassess. But some of our focus now on the new shop, and we'll see. I never will close the door completely. It
Yeah.
very well could get open again, but right
Yeah.
now it didn't seem like this was the time really to keep those hours late in Hamilton.
Yeah. So, I mean, out of some of the performers that, you have seen and that you've been able to book on the show, who would you say is your favorite that you have seen or maybe booked there?
I can't play favorites, man. It's going to
Okay.
really put me in a bad spot.
All right.
More importantly, put my wife in a bad spot because she's the one that's handling the performers. And the last thing I'm going to want is a text message from my wife saying she already has enough reasons to cut my throat. So I don't want to.
Yeah, right. No, I've been there. Trust me. I wouldn't want to do that to you. No worries, man. But I have seen some of them. I wish I knew who they were, but yeah, no, you've had some really talented guys there. I do have to say
Absolutely.
that. 100%. So, as far as coffee shops do go, you started with Jamesburg and Jamesbrew, like you said, then Hamilate, now Battlegrounds. Where do you see it going next, if you don't mind me asking?
For me, because I have the 3 kids, I like to do things in threes. It's a very
Right.
weird habit that I have. So for me, I was very adamant about getting that 3rd shop open, one to represent each of my kids.
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily that I would go any further than that. I mean, I have some great names for shops, and I have great reasons to open shops to put those names to life. I'm afraid to even say them on air because I wouldn't want anyone to steal them.
I wouldn't want you to spoil it.
But they're out there. But really, I think 3 shops is enough to keep us busy and to keep us sane. But
Yeah.
if we could maybe really automate it and scale it down the road, who knows? Like I said, I never say no and never say never. Could happen. But right now, my focus is really on keeping those 3 shops going.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. I can't wait to see what happens with Battlegrounds, and I can't wait to see, what you do with that. I've never been to Jamesbrew yet. I still have to do that.
Highly
100%.
recommend it.
Day I could probably get there is Sundays, because that's when I'm working in the Monroe area. But definitely got to check it out one of these Sundays for sure.
It's a different experience from Hamilton. Hamilton being right on Route 33 draws in a much more of a rush crowd, I think. And
Yeah.
Jamesbrew, you'll see more people. It's really off the beaten path on the Railroad Ave, the very historic street. So it's, but it does get busy, just like anything else on the weekends and during the rushes. So.
I will say this, I'm kind of surprised not as many people are relaxing with some of the kind of areas you have in Hamilton.
Well, I don't think people know how to relax anymore. It's really the reality, and I think like you guys nailed it before. After the pandemic, people don't know how to go out. They don't know how to interact, and that's what we were really striving to do by opening the shops and giving people something to do in areas where really there isn't much options. You live in Hamilton, you might go to Princeton, you might go to Robbinsville, you might pop into even Bucks County, PA, but why not just have something to be able to do around the corner? I love when people that live locally come upon the place and thank us for opening, and those are always the best kind of feedback to hear. So we wanted that suburban feel for people that may not want to take that drive.
I will say this, and maybe it's just kind of an idea just popping in my head. I know it's something that you might think about, you might not say yes to right away. But I feel like a karaoke night at really just any of the places.
We do have a karaoke night at Jamesbrew that's been going pretty strong since we've opened.
Yeah, man. People will come out for karaoke because people will just love to see somebody else make a fool of themselves.
Yeah.
And it'll encourage somebody else to.
Karaoke's been a great night. I love karaoke night. My kids love karaoke night, and that's every Thursday night at James Brew. I've never been opposed to doing it at Hamalatte. We just never really were approached by a karaoke DJ that was interested and really enthused. So
Maybe.
we don't say no very easily. So I'm opening the door to anybody that wants to run a karaoke night at Hamalatte. We may very well entertain.
If there are any karaoke DJs out there, definitely hit this man up 100%. I don't know if anybody's going to happen to see it, but I would love to see that. I used to go to the one that they had at Bill's Old Tavern every now and then. Never was a big fan of that because everybody in there would start singing country songs. Why are we singing country songs, sad country songs during karaoke night?
You won't find me where they're playing.
Let me sing "Drop It Like It's Hot" by Snoop Dogg and make a fool of myself. That is a proper
That's
karaoke
what karaoke
song.
was made for.
Yes, I love that. The last birthday of my 20s, I actually did a karaoke thing for my birthday. I actually proposed to my wife at that same place that I went to for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. But no, I think it would be a great idea, just personally. Didn't mean to just bounce that off the top of my head at you.
Please,
like that,
those are usually the best ideas, the ones that. Yeah.
But I will say this: I know state assembly didn't go exactly the way you planned. Trump did get into the office, though. You're a big Republican, so I do want to ask. I know you said you were happy to talk about politics. I'm not a huge politic guy, so I do want to ask, what are some things you're kind of looking forward to see Trump doing throughout his presidential term?
Well, I think the deregulation. I mean, I think the red tape that we have to cut just to get through our day-to-day life, people take that for granted. I mean, people look at prices, they look at inflation, and obviously that's something that, you know, any American, Republican or Democrat, wants to see get put under control.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's forces much bigger than who's the president that contribute to something like inflation. But the deregulation, the president, you know, appoints people to head up these administrative agencies that really create all these regulations. Regulations are created every day that affect our lives, and many people don't really have the opportunity to actually know what it's about. I only learned about the administrative state when I got to law school. That's what they call like the fourth branch of government, right?
Yeah.
Where you think about the EPA, the TSA, any administration where the head of the agency is appointed by the president or the governor or the executive effectively, and then these agencies create rules and regulations, like you have to take your shoes off to get on a plane. I live for the day they roll back that regulation. I mean, for me, the height of stupidity was when I'm standing online during the pandemic. I have a mask on and the shoes in my hand.
And your shoes
I'm
are
like,
off.
what's going on? When are we going to revisit some
You
of
got
these
you got
rules?
your face hiding away, and
Yeah.
you got your feet exposed.
It's silly, but there's a lot of regulations out there that are outdated, that have not been revisited, and I think that having, you know, a more conservative approach to government really helps put more practical common sense to government, to operating it, to making it more cost effective. I'm very intrigued by the Doge proposal. We have Elon Musk coming in to make government more efficient. That's going to have a big effect on taxpayers. That should make the cost of living a lot less. People just pay taxes. They don't ask questions as to what they're actually paying for. But
Yeah.
we have a lot of federal government, a lot of federal redundancy, a lot of waste. And I really look forward to seeing how this administration is going to approach that.
That did look interesting to me too, because again, like you said, there's a lot of things that, you know, we kind of waste our money on, and not even just from a government perspective, just people in everyday life. Like you said, people don't understand what they're paying for a lot of times when they look at stuff. So what are some things maybe Doge can kind of make sure we cut back on, make government more efficient, and really make sure that, you know, government has more money, and maybe, you know, taxpayers can have more money in their pockets as well?
Well, I would say consolidate some of the agencies. I mean, take the topic of employment, for example. Just in employment alone, you have the EEOC, you have the NLRB, you have, you know, the Department of Labor. You have all these departments that are effectively doing the same thing.
Right.
You can only imagine what kind of overlap there is between
Yeah.
the different agencies. Have them cross-reference, audit them, see how they're spending their money, see how they're managing their resources, and see if there could be any consolidation. You got to treat government like you
Like
treat
a business.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's the taxpayers' business, and the taxpayers who work hard deserve to see the fruits of their labor. They deserve to
Yeah.
take more money home.
I agree.
So I think consolidating a lot of government agencies, I mean, I don't think people have a real track on how many government agencies there are out there. I remember I had a class in law school where the class was about criminal procedure, and the professor had asked the room, you know, how many laws are out there truly? And they said that in the late 70s, they had started a project to try to track.
Try to track.
They couldn't. They gave up. They gave up on the project. Not so much
Jesus.
the statutes, right? Because you have the statute. I don't want to bore people to death, right? But we have the Constitution, we have statutory rights, and then we have these regulations, and the regulations just go on forever,
Yeah.
and no one really even can keep tabs on all them. That's a problem.
That is a problem.
So I'd like to see that more streamlined. Hopefully, we can revisit them. I always said that if I had been elected, people would say, "Well, it's the first law you'd pass." I said, "That's the wrong approach. What's the first law that I can cut?
That you could get rid of.
Because there's a lot, especially in New Jersey. I mean, sometimes you'll see these articles on 1015 or wherever, some of the most
Yeah.
asinine laws that are still on our books, whether they pertain to making sure your horse doesn't go in the middle of the road, things that really aren't relevant to day-to-day life. Some of the crimes that are in the code really need to be revisited. And we also have to look at how technology evolves, like cyber attacks, cyberbullying,
Yeah.
right? These are things that are not yet on the code. I mean, look at our Congress. They have no idea how to even regulate the internet. Now they have AI.
I would love to see somebody figure that out.
And we all remember when Mark Zuckerberg went in front of Congress and they said, "Well, how are you making money?" And he said, "We run ads." He had to say it 4 different times to 4 different congressmen. What do you think they're going to do about artificial intelligence when they still have not been able to hack the internet? So you
Yeah.
gotta keep up with the times, and gotta have the laws keep up with the society that you're living in.
You actually did mention that. I remember as soon as you said that, just about some of the regulations that New Jersey has on businesses in general. So I'm going to ask this. So what's a law maybe that you would get rid of in politics, and what's a law you would like to get rid of in businesses as far as NJ?
So I think for business, everything requires a license in New Jersey. You need a license to shampoo dogs. You need a license.
You mentioned that actually.
You need a license to open a. So this is very interesting. I was wondering, being in the estate business, obviously, I'm in a lot of morbid circles here, and so I was wondering why there aren't more crematoriums and where are we headed?
Right.
Eventually they're going to have to run out of burial space. I mean, there's only so much more land that we
Yeah.
can work with. So I was did some research one day into where are we? What is the future of burial look like? And so sure enough, I found a lot of the literature about different approaches, whether it's going green, where they're using people's remains as compost, whether some people are stacking bodies in graves of their loved ones.
Oh, that's adorable.
But obviously the increase in cremation. In New Jersey, I saw a bill that's been sitting for 3 years, introduced year over year, but not made out of committee, to allow business owners to operate their own crematoriums. Did you know that today, if you wanted to open a crematorium, the only people that can do that are funeral directors? There is a board of funeral directors, much like there is a board of attorneys, a board of accountants, and a board of every other licensed profession. And the law would propose that they would create a new board of crematorium operators. Now, who do you think is going to have the first dibs on those? The funeral directors. They're the ones that are obviously they're the ones that actually, in New Jersey, it's a law that you can only have a crematorium on a funeral grounds. You cannot have a standalone crematorium, and that's what this law sought to do. So I thought that was a little bit, that sums up New Jersey
make
in a
any sense
nutshell.
to me.
You have to go license something, you got to go create more fees. And people keep in mind that when you pay licensing fees, you're paying a tax.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. So you got to pay annual fees to keep up that license, to keep it renewed, to keep it current, and all the people that get paid along the way. So that's really one thing that I'd probably want to see revisited. Maybe we don't need to license everything that we do in New Jersey. With respect to politics, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say term limits. There's people that are in our legislature that have been there for far too long, and you can see it by the legislation they propose or the legislation that they don't really understand very well. Term limits are good on the federal level, and they're just as good on the state level.
Yeah, no, I could see how that makes sense, 100%. So I do want to ask this, because when I've been hearing about politics, and I try to keep my head out of that space as much as I can, because a lot of people, not you, because I've been able to talk to you about this and have a good dialogue with you, but there's a lot of people, when you talk to them, they don't know how to have a dialogue with each other. So it gets tough for me to try to put myself out there with it, and try to, ingest it as much as I can, because, I don't want to open myself up to a lot of people that don't understand how to have that dialogue. So, but what I've been seeing just over the past, week or so, they've been talking about how a lot of different agencies have been closing, and maybe it's some agencies people don't agree with being closed. So I just want to ask you, this is the reason why these agencies have been closing. Pretty much what you said.
Which agencies in particular?
A lot of, from what I've seen, race, inclusion agencies, things like that. And I'm sure there's other agencies in general, but like you said, there's so many agencies that people pay tax dollars to, and Doge was kind of created to, help make government more efficient, put more money in the taxpayers' pockets. So I did want to ask, this is the reason why these agencies have been closing?
So the diversity, equity, inclusion, every agency has adopted a department to handle the DEI initiatives. I'm sure there are agencies out there that are standalone to regulate DEI,
Yeah.
but really they're trying to limit the DEI dollars out of these agencies that they find are not really doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're finding that it's really, again, another form of waste, fraud, abuse, where administrations may be creating jobs for the sake of creating jobs, and they're not actually doing anything meaningful to foster diversity, equity, or inclusion,
Right.
or really even define that very well. DEI was the first, piece of a company to go when things get tough during the economy.
I do just want to keep in mind that's just one example that I've seen.
No, I get, and listen, I think Donald Trump came out swinging during his inaugural speech where he says, look, there's males and there's females, and period. Next, there will be no more DEI. I mean, he laid out his agenda pretty clear.
Yeah.
He signed more executive orders his first day in office than any other president. So, I don't say that to say that in support of what he did necessarily. I'm just making the point that
Right.
this is a person that has an agenda who he's been talking about on the campaign trail since he left office 4 years ago, and he has been going to work since he was inaugurated last week. So you're going to see a lot of things change that have been controversial or maybe things that people don't agree with. I mean, look, in California, there's a lot of wildfires. We talk about having a bad year. Imagine kicking off your year to see your house get burned on fire. So I think sometimes we got to keep some perspective, right? But in California, there was some criticism that maybe too many dollars were focused on having a diverse firefighting force as opposed to having the necessary tools that were needed to fight fires. You have comedians like Rob Schneider who talk about, do I really need a diversity quota with my pilots who fly the planes, or do I need people that actually know how to
fly the plane?
So I'm all for diversity. I'm an immigrant. I
course.
come to this country looking for the American dream, and I think you can achieve diversity if you just let people do what they're meant to do and shine and give them the skills they need. I understand there are obviously unprivileged areas, underprivileged populations that do need, affirmative action was designed for that reason, but at what point do we scale it back? At what point do we revisit it? Again, it's all about revisiting policies to see if they're still in line with when they were created.
Like you said, you're not closing the door to it specifically, but
You re-examine it.
Yeah, and maybe kind of think of a way that it's a little bit more effective for both diversity and, getting the right people in here that we need to help prevent the forest fires or anything else.
Let's get the actual resources that we need to make sure the water hydrants have water.
let's water down the fire first and then talk about that later.
For sure.
100%. Which, by the way, anybody that's been going through the wildfires in LA, 100% praying for you guys. Hoping all of you are okay. I know a lot of comics and a lot of people out in LA, so just hoping you guys are okay going through it each day.
It's horrifying.
So, but I don't want to end exactly on that note, but I do want to say I do appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you talking about some of your businesses. I do want to ask before we go. So, what's the one piece of advice that you would maybe want to give somebody who's looking to start a business? Even, myself, like we were talking about a little bit earlier, I, do swim instruction for a living. That's my full-time job. I've been looking to get some things going as a personal trainer, whether it's through a gym or just doing circuit type workouts by myself. But what's the one piece of advice maybe that you would give somebody that's looking to start their own thing, whatever it is?
Start.
Right.
Too many people look for the perfect timing, and time doesn't really wait for anybody. There is no such thing as a perfect time. Just as a swimming instructor, you can appreciate the advice of just jump. Just get in the pool.
I can.
So
Oh
it's
my
the same
God.
thing with business. Just start. You're not going to get it perfect. You're not supposed to get it perfect. You're not supposed to necessarily get it right. The only way you learn is by failing and by screwing up. That's how you get better. I can't tell you how many calls I get from people that want to set up an LLC before they've even started doing business. And I say, dude, the LLC is literally the last thing you should be doing. You should start the business, start bringing money into the bank, and then you can worry about having the legal, instrument that you need to protect yourself. But you need to start making the money. Get to work.
So you could pay for the LLC.
Correct.
No, I love that, man. But I just want to say thank you so much. I wanted to make it more of kind of a business-related show because I know you've got your own things going on. And I appreciate you taking the time to come out late at night to be on the show.
I appreciate the invitation, and I'm always happy to come on and talk to your listeners.
I know you are, man. 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Adam Elias here on Hot Tag Takes. I am your host, John BRECKO. Shout out to Ruben Rodriguez behind the booth. We love you guys. As soon as February starts, we will be going on 4 Tuesdays a month. We will be doing Hot Tag Takes 2 of the weeks, and we will be starting a new wrestling show called Real Life Wrestling. We will be doing that the 2nd and the 4th of every month. So definitely check out the wrestling show. Check out Hot Tag Takes with Alexis Marrero next Tuesday. And then the Tuesday after that, February 11th, the debut of Real Life Wrestling with Mr. Outrageous Burke. Definitely looking forward to those next 2 shows. Make sure you tune in on these Tuesdays. We out.